Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Mages. Yeah, that's not a title you hear very often on this YouTube channel, is it? Well, before we get into the big in-character discussion of the mages in the title, I just wanted to do a little out-of-character intro. You see, while this channel very rarely talks about Mage the Ascension, it's largely because people don't request videos on Mage the Ascension. But Roy, one of my subscribers and a fan of the channel and someone who very kindly picked up either a hard copy of The World Below or Monster Kingdoms, got in touch with me via MatthewDawkins.com and requested a video on the Technocratic Union, and we narrowed it down specifically to the Void Engineers. And the same offer applies to all of you. I've made it loud and clear many, many times. If you want a video on a subject of your choosing, pick up a hard copy of The World Below or Monster Kingdoms, get in touch with me via MatthewDawkins.com and request your video. I am more than happy to make videos by request, and if the concept is too large, we'll find a way of narrowing it down. The World Below is the only RPG that I gain royalties from, so I'm always very, very happy when more and more people pick it up, so please do consider doing so. Now let's get into this, shall we? The Void Engineers, the Guardians of the Unknown, maybe even the Explorers of the Unknown. That's probably a better way to phrase it. Among the 5 conventions of the Technocratic Union, the Void Engineers, well, they stand apart. Where the New World Order commands minds, the Iteration X perfects bodies, the Syndicate governs wealth, the Void Engineers, over here, they reach beyond all boundaries, literal and metaphysical, into the furthest reaches of the known and unknown universes. They are explorers, soldiers, and scientists of the frontier, tasked not only with expanding human understanding, but also defending humanity from cosmic threats it cannot yet imagine. In many ways, they represent the most heroic and the most perilous aspects of the technocracy's grand mission. The Void Engineers began as a coalition of explorers, scientists, and early astronomers within the nascent technocratic order. They emerged from the late Enlightenment era's obsession with discovery, when the ocean gave way to the sky and eventually to space itself. By the late 19th century, the group formally organized as the Void Engineers, charged with investigating the limits of human existence and the structure of the Tellurian itself. In the worldview of the Void Engineers, reality is not confined to Earth or even to the material universe. It extends into the Umbra, the vast metaphysical reflection of reality where thoughts, spirits, and alien entities reside. Now, for most of the technocracy, the Umbra represents an anomaly to be ignored or suppressed. For the Void Engineers, it is a frontier to be charted, colonized, and if necessary, even defended. They are the only convention to openly embrace the existence of the spirit sphere, which they rename the dimensional sphere, allowing them to work in spaces that many technocrats deny exist. This pragmatic embrace of the impossible makes the Void Engineers paradoxical, a word that most mages like to dance around. They are scientists who acknowledge the supernatural. They are technocrats who speak of gods and monsters. In a worldview devoted to consensus and predictability, they embody the terrifying necessity of wonder. Now, the Void Engineers' internal organization resembles a hybrid of a scientific agency and a military command. The convention is divided into methodologies, specialized branches that oversee specific domains. You have research and execution, designs ships, constructs, and dimensional stabilizers. The Neutralization Specialist Corps, or NSC, functions as an elite strike force against otherworldly incursions. The Exploration Corps handles the mapping of colonization of the Umbra and space. And then the Horizon Security Command maintains outposts, constructs, and orbital facilities, both physical and metaphysical. Ranks range from cadets and technicians to marines, commanders, and directors. Yet, unlike other conventions, the Void Engineers' hierarchy is fluid. What does that mean? Well, in the field, expertise often outweighs rank. This practical culture encourages initiative and unorthodox problem solving, but also breeds a degree of independence that makes other conventions uneasy. Where the New World Order thrives on control, the Void Engineers rely on adaptability. As one internal manual is rumoured to put it, the Void rewards those who think faster than they fall. The primary mandate of the Void Engineers is threefold: explore, protect, expand. They chart the unseen dimensions of the Tellurian, investigate cosmic anomalies, and respond to metaphysical crises that threaten consensual reality. Their work takes them to orbital stations hidden beyond the reach of satellites, to constructs in the high Umbra and deep Umbra, and even to the far edges of reality where the rules begin to unravel. Some of their most classified operations involve Threat Null, an enigmatic and terrifying phenomenon involving lost technocrats who return from deep Umbra locales corrupted beyond recognition. The Engineers have fought entire campaigns against such entities, often losing entire crews and stations in the process. Equally mysterious are the ongoing missions to map stable horizon realms, pocket dimensions that could serve as colonies or refuges for humanity should the Earth become uninhabitable due to the workings of a group like Pentex or the Sabbat. Some within the convention believe the ultimate goal is human survival beyond Earth's consensus, a project codenamed Operation Diaspora. Others whisper that the ambition may mask something darker, the creation of a new, perfectly controlled reality where the technocracy can reign unchecked. Within the technocracy, the Void Engineers occupy an uneasy position. It's fair to say their work is indispensable but poorly understood. They frequently clash with the New World Order, whose bureaucratic oversight and ideological rigidity hinders field operations. The Syndicate view their exploratory missions as wasteful, while Iteration X tends to regard their improvisational science as dangerously undisciplined. Despite this, the Void Engineers command respect for their practical results. When dimensional breaches occur, when nephandic corruption spreads, or when the Avatar storm destabilizes the Umbra, it is the Void Engineers who respond first. Beyond the Union, their reputation is even more complex. Because tradition mages, especially the Sons of Ether, have long admired the Engineers' spirit of discovery and shared fascination with the boundaries of science and magic. Secret collaborations are not unheard of, especially when faced with existential threats. The Chakravanti, or Euthanatos, too occasionally find common cause with the Engineers when dealing with death realms or entropy phenomena. However, many tradition mages regard them with suspicion, understandably, seeing in them both potential allies and potential jailers. The ambiguity of the Void Engineers lies in their mission's dual nature. On one hand, they are genuine protectors, explorers who risk their lives to confront horrors that could annihilate reality itself. They guard humanity from threats it cannot perceive, often without recognition or thanks. Their sacrifices, entire crews lost to the void, constructs destroyed to contain extra-dimensional infections, are largely unknown, even to their fellow technocrats. On the other hand, their work demands secrecy, and secrecy breeds authoritarianism. To contain a dimensional contagion, they might erase an entire colony. To preserve consensus, they might suppress the discovery of life beyond Earth. In their pursuit of security, they could become the architects of a sterile universe, a cosmos without mystery, perfectly safe, perfectly lifeless. This tension defines the Void Engineers as both potential heroes and potential villains. They embody the best ideals of the technocracy: curiosity, courage, innovation, but they also risk its worst: impulse control, isolation, and denial of the human spirit. Void Engineers are believed these knights to be expanding beyond the Technocratic Union itself. A radical splinter faction, sometimes called the Division of Horizon Autonomy, argues that humanity has outgrown the Union's obsession with control. These engineers seek to establish independent constructs, sovereign stations, free from Earth's ideological oversight. Their stated aim is to develop a new paradigm that reconciles enlightened science with awakened spirituality, creating a bridge between the technocracy and the traditions. Another emerging project, rumoured as Initiative Helios, involves the construction of a vast orbital node designed to stabilise Earth's weakening gauntlet. Whether this is a defensive measure or a prelude to sealing the planet off from the Umbra entirely is unknown. Certainly, some lupines with whom I have tenuous contact have claimed that the Umbra is much harder to access now than it ever was before, so maybe the Void Engineers have already succeeded and just didn't announce it. In the grand tapestry of the world of darkness, the Void Engineers represent the edge of possibility. They are explorers who stare into the abyss, not out of arrogance, but necessity. At least that's how they would put it. They ask what lies beyond the stars and what waits in the dark between worlds. And they act when others hesitate. They may be the last true adventurers of the technocracy, worrying thought, keeping alive a spark of wonder in an organization increasingly obsessed with order. Yet the same qualities that make them noble could, in another context, make them tyrants of the infinite. Whether the Void Engineers will ultimately become humanity's saviors or its jailers depends not on their ships or weapons, but on their willingness to remember why they began exploring in the first place. Not to conquer it, but to understand it. Thank you very much for watching.